What's going on, swim fans? Welcome to a special Whiteboard Wednesday. In today's video, I'm gonna break down Adam Peaty's world-class breaststroke technique. I've got race footage right here. I'm gonna walk you guys through it as I see it. I'm gonna draw an analysis on his pull, kick, timing, underwater pullouts. And by the end of the video, I'm gonna share some drills from his own Instagram account and other YouTube videos, sharing how exactly he's training and how he's able to swim so fast. The goal is by the end of the video that you can pick up on some of these tips and tricks so you can apply them to your own swimming so you can swim faster and smarter than ever before. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome to My Swim Pro, where we share the latest and greatest to help you improve your performance and health both in and out of the water. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe if you like this content and let me know in the comments which swimmers you'd like to see me analyze next. And without further ado, let's begin. When we take a look at Adam Peaty's breaststroke, it's simply a work of art. His strokes are very clean, especially when you look at them at a slower pace like this. When he's going at full speed, it can be really choppy. When we look at it in slow motion, we can start to analyze some things. The first that I want to highlight is timing. In breaststroke, it's all about pull, kick, glide. It's as simple as that. You can't rush it, and you have to start and finish every single stroke in streamline. So when we look at Adam Peaty's stroke, he does exactly that. This is in real speed right now, and as you can see, he starts and finishes every single stroke in streamline, even if it's just for a little bit. Every single stroke you have to be riding high on top of the water, and if you don't finish and hold streamline for even just a little bit, you're not really going to maximize your kick. And when you swim breaststroke, I want you to think in your head, pull, kick, glide. And you can see he's doing that very clearly here. The shorter the distance of the race, the less you're going to hold that streamline, but it's really, really important to hold it. Now, the second thing I want you guys to pay attention to is the pull. He plays to his corners very, very well. And I'm going to zoom in here just so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. When we're talking about corners, we're talking about the way he's grabbing the water, pushing out with the pinkies, pushing out just past the shoulders. And if we draw some lines at just how wide we're going, you're not really going that far out, maybe 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock if you use the arms of a clock. And the goal here is to try and initiate that high elbow catch as early as possible, so that way you're catching water from your fingertips all the way through into your armpit, actually. And if you watch in slow motion, let's put it at half speed, you can see how he's engaged with the water all the way through at every point of the pull. And a big mistake swimmers make is when they're taking the pull right here and the arms are about to return back to streamline, you kind of drop the elbows. And if you take a look at his stroke, he is really leveraging and pulling the water behind him at every single moment. I'm going to draw that again so you guys can see, maybe with some angles. You can see how he's really just pulling the water back at every element. And once the hands come back together and the thumbs are at the nose, he has an insane drive forward and just explodes. And the reason for that is because when you're taking the breath, let's zoom out here. Actually, we're going to go back just a little bit. When you're taking the breath, that is the slowest part of the stroke, so you want to make it as fast as possible and you want to minimize the amount of resistance there. Now, the second thing I want to highlight is how narrow his kick is. We're going to go ahead and zoom in again. And if you take a look at the kick, you can see how far apart the knees are. The knees don't really go that far apart. If you actually take a look at Cody Miller in the lane next to him, his kick is actually a lot wider by comparison. And the reason why you don't want to have a super wide kick is you want to try and keep your body in a narrow body line. And if you open up your legs too much, you're going to create way too much resistance, and that's no good. You want to swim like in a box. Well, not that kind of a box. I'll show you guys in a different angle. Let's zoom in here, and you can see, perfect. So we're returning to a neutral body position. And if we look at the width of the kick specifically, let's zoom in here. This looks a little wider actually. He's not wearing a tech suit. But as you can see, the width of the legs are a little bit wider, and you want to keep your heels tucked inside of your frame. If you think about the frame, how much water are you actually displacing? Because water is 800 times more resistive than air. And so if you displace too much water, it's going to slow you down. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. So it's better that you actually minimize the size of your kick and make sure that your heels actually come up all the way to your butt, into, your heels drive into your butt. Use your hamstrings. get a really strong kick. There it is. Wow. Very, very efficient. Okay, let's skip ahead now to watching his kick here. Yeah, you can see the kick is very compact, and there's a moment right here where the feet are flexed and the toes are actually pointing to the outside walls, and the displacement is relatively small, and that's the goal. That is what you want. Now let's take a look at the pullout. I think there's some things that we can actually look to improve in Adam Peaty's pullout. Let's watch it in slow motion here. Off the wall. Now if you notice, immediately his streamline could be improved. I don't know if you guys caught that. Let's go ahead and zoom or rewind a little bit. Obviously, you want to be able to displace as little water as possible. And I see some gaps in Adam Peaty's streamline. Now I get it, this is for a video. But if you notice, he's not really the best off the walls, off the start. You know, he's a bulky guy, he's strong. But working on his streamline might be a way to improve his, his pullouts, his start and turn. And that's a huge part when you're trying to go, world record pace. Every second, every 1/10 of a second, 100th of a second matters. Now let's go ahead and clear the screen. I'm gonna play it in slow motion. And you can see when you bring your hands in, there is a little bit of resistance here that I notice. If we have the line, body line is pretty good. If anything, his eyes might be looking too far down, too far behind him. If you think about it, if we draw a line of your body position, he should be looking at 90 degrees. Right now it looks like he's about maybe 70 degrees. So we don't want that. We want to be a little bit more efficient. But one thing I wanted you guys to notice, if you notice where his hands are, there's a gap right there. Do you guys see that? That's his body line. His hands are here. He could easily be displacing less water. Instead of here, he could be displacing more if he kept his hands a little bit closer to each other. If you guys are new beginner swimmers, just remember that a pullout is only allowed when you push off the wall or off the dive. You get one underwater dolphin kick, one underwater pull, and you have to bring your hands back up. So it's really important that you maintain a very, very narrow body position so that way you don't create a lot of resistance. I think there's another angle coming up. Yep, right here, that's the pull. Good streamline. Now let's take a look at another angle. There it is. All right, so same thing here. Body line, really good. His head is actually tucked down a little bit too much. His eyes, he's looking too far down, and then as a result, his head's a little bit lower than it needs to be. Another area to look at where his hands are. So his arms could be a little bit tighter where that red line is. And so when we look at this in motion, if you guys see right here, he did a really good job keeping his elbows in. The elbows tend to pop out of the body line on the pullout, and he's doing a good job keeping his body in a nice tight frame. But his arms, in terms of depth, are definitely, he's coming away from his body. Let's watch the turn here again in slow motion. Again, streamline can be a little tighter. There's the gap that we saw between his hands and his body. Still really good. We aspire to be at this level. And then you can see that gap right there. That is a lot of body displacement that he's making in the water. And if you can get that, maybe 30% lower, maybe it'll improve his pullouts, his start, and he'll be able to carry more momentum off the wall and off the diving block. Here's another example, 26 in the 50 long course at the end of a workout. Here, let's zoom in a little bit. You can see exactly how the race is unfolding. And his body's so high in the water. I'm going to pause it just so you can get an appreciation. When he gets to streamline, you can see his entire backside on top of the water, which means his legs, now if you do this right, his legs and his whole body is just very high in the water. If we could see this underwater, his legs would be very close to the surface. His upper body is pretty much just hovering on top of the water, and he's able to return that head position. He's looking down. He's not looking forward. If he was looking forward, his legs would be way deep underneath the water, and that's not what he's doing. Let's keep watching the race. Can you imagine going 26 in practice in anything? I mean, freestyle, that's going really fast. He's doing it in breaststroke. Absolutely incredible. For reference, I go 30 seconds in the long course in a race. He's going, he's blowing me away right here. Amazing. Now let's look at some drills. This is a drill with the parachute, not the parachute, the cord, the stretch cord. It works on tempo, hand speed. That's a great drill to just get your hands moving and really train above race pace. And the only way you can do this is with some kind of resistance assistance. So basically someone's pulling you in or the bungee cord is there to help you out. Here's another drill that works on hand speed because again, you know, it's difficult to get above race pace if you're not using equipment. And this is a pool that actually has a current in it. So you swim in the same spot, but the current actually allows you to mimic above race pace for a short period of time, or at least as long as you can hold it together. And Adam Peaty right here is putting in the work. Who knows what the pace on this was? Maybe it's 25 seconds per 50 meters, and it looks like that's probably what it is, because you can only hold it for 10 or 15 strokes. So amazing. Here is another, you know, at race pace training. You see the green line on the bottom that's moving. That was set, I believe, at 26 or 25.5 per 50. It's pulling away from him. And right now his tempo slowing down, not holding it. Here's another fun drill. I believe he's got with paddles. He's going to work on the underwater pullouts. Good streamline. Pull down, maintain that position. You can see his elbows start to pop out a little bit, actually. We talked about this. And you want to make sure you're maintaining your streamline, because if your elbows pop out, it's just going to create more resistance, and that's not going to help you swim faster. Now let's see what the next drill is. Good lung control as well. You know, the 100 breaststroke or 200 breaststroke, your lungs feel like they're going to explode at the end of the race. If you've done it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it looks like he's going full 50 meters here underwater. Not too shabby for the world's best breaststroker. Here's a great dryland activity. You're working on core stability. I mentioned he's so high in the water. That doesn't happen on accident, guys. Guys and gals, he's able to maintain that body position by having a strong core. Planks are a great way to do it. This is a little bit more advanced movement. And this one of my favorites, all about explosiveness. Here we go, doing a push-up, plyometric. If you want to have fast twitch muscle activation, you've got to train to do that. Okay, so don't start, you know, with this kind of a push-up variation. Work your way up. If you guys are looking for more dryland training, make sure you check out the MySwimPro app. Also, if you're looking for more swim training or swimming technique videos, training programs, the MySwimPro app has all of these available for iOS and Android. Again, let me know in the comments if you like this analysis or what other athlete you'd like me to do a breakdown of. Happy to do any athlete as long as we have some good footage. Let me know in the comments. And if you haven't already joined our Facebook group, we have thousands of swimmers from over 100 different countries all over the world who are passionate about getting better at swimming, different skill levels, former Olympians, beginners, triathletes, everyone in between. We're all in there, so make sure you check it out. Linked in the description below. Wishing you guys the best and happy swimming.